Welcome along to another CrowdProperty.com funding opportunity. Today we're going to Marske near Richmond, and in particular to the Marske Stables, DL117NB. Now, CrowdProperty is a peer-to-peer lending platform designed to facilitate loans between private individuals and professional property businesses. CrowdProperty is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority under permission number 723959. CrowdProperty is not covered by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. There are risks with any loans you make, and just like all peer-to-peer lending, your capital is at risk. CrowdProperty endeavours to protect all lenders. This is done by registering the legal first charge against the property project. This means that in the very unlikely event a borrower defaults on the loan, CrowdProperty will be able to take ownership of the project and manage it for the lenders. Now, the property is owned by Heritage Apartments Limited. Their company number is 10260,397. The director of this company is Ian Morton, and I'm delighted to say that he joins us on this webinar. Welcome along, Ian. Tell us a little bit more about you and your background.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, my name's Ian Morton. I've been involved in property for well over, actually, 40 years now. All sorts of different conversions, all sorts of interesting buildings I've worked on. I've ended up specialising pretty much in listed buildings and historic and heritage buildings. From that initial start that I had in that, I've ended up developing some boutique hotel models, and I specialise in staycation really in the UK, and especially in the wonderful national parks that we've got.
Now, this project certainly ticks all of those boxes you've just talked about there, because it's the conversion of a Grade 2 listed former stables to become 10 apartments. CrowdProperty has agreed a £1.5 million loan facility to be raised in 4 phases. This is the second phase, and we're looking to raise £410,000. Lenders will receive 8% per annum for the loan term of about 16 months. It's rolled up and paid at the exit. Let's start off, please, Ian. Let's find out a little bit more about the local area of Marske.
Okay, yeah, Marske is a beautiful little hamlet in Swaledale, which is the northernmost remote part of the Yorkshire Dales. It's an absolute beautiful area. It's got all sorts of wonderful characteristics. The Swale runs straight through it, beautiful river. It's got a lot of tourist attractions nearby as well, and which is where we're really aiming at that market.
Now, this is a very special stable block because it has a great heritage, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, obviously it was a stable block. It's got an unusual equestrian history. So originally there was a horse there called Marske that had a son called Eclipse, which became an amazingly famous racehorse back in those 1750s. It never lost a race and was the most successful racehorse of its time, and is now still, in fact, in the top 4 most successful racehorses of all time in the UK, still is, which is amazing after all those centuries. It's also the great-great-grandfather of horses like Red Rum and Sheergar and many, many others. It was also a relative of Wellington's horse Copenhagen that won at the Battle of Waterloo, which is just incredible. And we're going to build that into the apartments. It's going to be an intrinsic part of that. So we're going to name each apartment after one of the famous racehorses that are all linked to that horse.
Now, planning permission has been granted by Yorkshire Dales National Park Planning Authority. Their planning references are R/31/23F and R/31/23G/LB, where permission has been granted for the renovation and conversion of the former stables to become 10 serviced holiday apartments. Once the conversion is completed, the developer will refinance and retain the properties. The maximum loan term is for 16 months on this phase. The project is already first charge secured, and the borrower intends to refinance with a long-term lender and then rent out those units. Here's the location plan for you. You can see the CrowdProperty flag on the left-hand side. That's pointing to the village of Marske, and you can see where that is in relation to Richmond. On the right-hand side, you can see the CrowdProperty flag pointing to the stable quadrangle that you can see being developed here on this project. So the local area then, it's within the Yorkshire Dales National Park and lies to the immediate west of Marske Hall. The Georgian Theatre Royal, Richmond Castle and the Georgian Dragon Bistro are all located nearby. Other tourist attractions within North Yorkshire include the Forbidden Corner, Theakston Brewery, the Lightwater Valley Theme Park and treetop nets adventure. And the Yorkshire Dales National Park, of course, an area of outstanding natural beauty, attracts several million tourists every single year. Here's the land registry plan then. You can see the outline in red as to the road leading into the stable block. And here is that proposed development. Talk us through, Ian, exactly what you're wanting to do here.
Okay, yeah, well, we've already done quite a lot of the work. The roof has been replaced and insulated, stripped out the entire place. We've even first fixed, wired and plumbed most of the building now. So all those sort of worrying stages are out of the way. We're into a really just a fit out, obviously plastering to do, and then we're into all the finishes. And just to give you an idea of some of the exciting things we're doing, we've got freestanding copper baths with nickel interiors and traditional WCs with pull chains, you know, the old-fashioned sort of thing. So we're going on the theme of a real heritage building with a bit of an industrial twist in a really contemporary way as well within this building.
How did you come across the project?
Yeah, I was working on another project. We did another Georgian merchant house in Leeds that we converted into apartments a few years ago, which is still very successful. And my partner in that found this site on the return journey from a trip to London to find some investors for that development. And we found this one. We got really excited when we found it. It's something really special and something, you know, when it's finished, we're all going to be really proud of.
Now, total gross development value with vacant possession is £2,508,652, and this is going to be quite a special place.
Well, you can see on the grey areas there, those are the main structural walls, but what we've managed to do is build into each one of those some superb apartments. Some of the apartments are single story, so they're up at the top there. Apartment 4 with the red line round is a single apartment, and so is apartment 2 at the bottom with the green line round. On the two flanks, on the two sides of the building, those are duplex apartments, so there are staircases going up from a ground floor, a living space up to, you know, obviously bedrooms upstairs. They're very big spaces. They're not small little apartments. They're 2 and 3 bed apartments. So they're aimed at really the luxury end of the market. We're aiming for people that just want to have a fantastic time in the Dales and go walking and cycling or fishing or whatever they want to do. We've created some shared spaces as well in the clock tower, which you can't actually really see on there, where you've got a sort of communal space where you can go and sit, maybe read a book, or chat stories with other people about what you've done during the day, and listen to music as well.
It's such a special quadrangle of buildings. It would make a superb setting, wouldn't it, for wedding venues?
That's right. We've got plans to do some small weddings there. It'd be a great feature as well. We're going to hopefully get a circular marquee within the courtyard, and people will be able to enjoy a full day there. We're also trying to get permission to use a small area as a bar as well, so you would be able to stay there, have a lovely event, maybe a corporate event, and then everybody stays in the same space around you.
Now, this is the phase 2 raise, which means, of course, you've already had phase 1 and you've started doing some work. Talk us through what you've done so far.
Yeah, well, if you look at the centre there, the beautiful clock tower, we've repointed the whole of that front now. And we're going around the building while we're just catching the decent weather still. And that's all pretty much nearly there now, repointed. We're also giving it a steam clean. Then if you look to the left of that, there's a white wall there on the back. So one of the things the planners have asked us to do is lime render the walls. So we're keeping the textured walls of the original building. And then if you look at the right photograph, you can see a pointed wall there. So we've stripped all the original plaster back and gone back to the beautiful stonework, repointed it, cleaned it. And then above that, you can see the roof trusses, the features we've got there. We've already insulated the roof. In fact, it's now all first fixed, wired and plumbed. And you can see on the bottom where we're building some partitions there next to the white wall on the bottom. That's actually going to be, if we do manage to get a lot of weddings there, that will be the honeymoon suite.
I've got some case studies to share, and you talked earlier about the property at Leeds. This is that one. Talk us through what you did.
Yeah, well, this is, believe it or not, it doesn't seem 5 minutes ago, but this is 4 years ago now. So this has been trading all the way through all the period, hugely successful. And in fact, we've been really successful through COVID as well. It's done really, really well. 75% occupancy, even in COVID, is pretty special. So this was a conversion of a Georgian Grade 2 merchant house in Leeds, and very similar actually in some ways to the hall that's at Marske. It continues to be a big success.
And then the second case study I've got for you, this is one in Windermere, and I think you extended this one, didn't you?
Yeah, well, if you look at the right-hand photograph, there's a bit of ivy growing and a little bit of a white rendered gable end. That was the original cottage. So we basically built the entire rear stonework on this cottage quite some time ago now. And since then, we've actually extended it again in there's another studio on the same plot. Again, holiday lets. And again, even this year, even with COVID, it shut down for a little bit when that, the close down happened. But it's totally full, and it's totally full the whole rest of the year. And it's even booked up next year now as well. So hugely successful. I mean, the staycation thing is obviously going to be big, at least for the next 2 or 3 years, I think.
So let's then return back to Marske Stables, and here's an overview of the project financials and the proposed loan. This is the second phase of a 4-phase raise. Phase 2 raises for £410,000 as part of that total facility of £1.5 million. RICS have verified the market value at the start of phase 1 to be £434,990. They've also verified the GDV to be £2,508,652. Estimated conversion cost is £1,511,000. First phase was £380,000 gross, with the initial drawdown being £80,000. Therefore, the initial loan to value was 18.4%. The loan to GDV excluding the interest is 59.8%. And the amount owed at exit including the interest is 67%. The maximum loan period of 18 months. Therefore, this phase will be a maximum of 16 months. Phase 2 targeted to start on the 25th of October 2020. Remember, lenders will get 8% per annum interest that's paid at the end of the project. The exit strategy is to refinance onto a long-term loan, and the property is already first charge secured against the property. So your next steps are to make sure that you understand the loan, carry out your own due diligence on the project, and then decide how much you would like to lend. CrowdProperty.com is the place to be to pledge on launch. The necessary anti-money laundering checks will be carried out, and then you'll be invited to send your funds to your own online e-wallet, and you'll start earning that interest on completion of the loan agreement. So this is phase 2 of 4, where we're looking to raise £410,000, and this is to continue financing Marske Stables, Marske near Richmond, DL11 7NB. Thank you for watching this CrowdProperty.com webinar. We look forward to you joining us again soon back here for more funding opportunities at CrowdProperty.com.